Good morning, everyone. We are here with our Health and Human Services Committee, and we are joined as always by my colleagues, Council Members Rice and Glass. And this is a continuation of a conversation we began on Monday with our boards and commissions. We are so fortunate in Montgomery County to have such remarkably talented and dedicated residents who volunteer their time and really engage in civic activism and coordination. We know the last 2 years have been extraordinarily and unprecedentedly difficult, but through all of it, we have been able to move forward, and I'm actually confident that we're going to come out on the other side of this pandemic stronger than we were before. On Monday, we heard from a number of boards and commissions regarding the extraordinary challenges facing the communities that they advocate on behalf of, but we also recognize that because of the great work of our Department of Health and Human Services, our nonprofit providers, and so many in the community, our social safety net has never been stronger. So we look forward to hearing from more boards and commissions this morning. The way that we're going to do this, to my colleagues on the boards and commissions, is we will hear from 3 boards or commissions, and then we will stop and pause and ask questions of those 3 boards and commissions. We ask that when it is your turn to speak, that you limit your testimony to between 3 minutes, but if you go over, that's okay. And then we'll ask that you turn your camera off, and the next person will speak until we get to the end of the first group. So joining us in this first group this morning is Ms. Marquette Rogers from the Board for Social Services, Marcy Roth, the Citizen Review Panel Advisory Group, and Barbara Seltzer, representing the Commission on Aging. And first, we will hear from the Board of Social Services, Ms. Marquette Rogers.
I don't see it's actually Mr. I don't see him on the Zoom at this point. Hopefully he will be joining us shortly.
Okay, no problem. Then why don't we start with our Citizen Review Panel then, our Citizen Review Panel Advisory Group. Is Marcy Roth on? No.
It's actually, I saw her just a little bit. We have someone substituting for her.
Okay.
But she was on actually, I think a little while ago, but I don't see her as well right now. I think it's Wilma.
No problem. Then why don't we start with the Commission on Aging? I do see this, Barbara is in the audience and just turned her camera on. So Barbara, if you actually want to kick us off this morning, that would be great. Before you do though, I want to acknowledge that Dr. Raymond Kroll has joined us once again this morning, the Director of our Department of Health and Human Services. Thank you so much, Dr. Kroll. Would you like to say a few words as we get started?
Thank you, Council Vice President Albornoz, and thank you all, and good morning, everyone. Just a quick note to say how much we continue to appreciate all the hard work that the boards and commissions have done with us for years, but especially over the last 2 years during the middle of this pandemic. You all have kept meeting and kept advising and kept giving us benefit of all your wisdom and your thinking, and we deeply appreciate that. I know that it has not been the easiest thing to do, but you all have been invaluable in our efforts to try to get through this pandemic and to keep the business of HHS alive and floating. So looking forward to hearing what your thoughts are about how we move forward out of the pandemic and into recovery coming into the new fiscal year. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, Council Vice President Albornoz, and look forward to hearing from the commissions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kroll. I do see that Ms. Wilma Breyer has joined us. So Ms. Seltzer, you'll be up next, but we can go ahead and start with our Citizens Advisory Group. So Ms. Breyer. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay. Good morning. I'm here to represent the Citizens Review Panel for Children, substituting for our chair, Marcy Roth. And we're charged with examining policies, procedures, and practices of Montgomery County and Maryland regarding child protection services. We're reviewing policies to make sure that the county is fulfilling what they should be doing and working collaboratively with the Child Welfare Service to do that. In fiscal year 2021, we asked for input from Child Welfare Services Agency about 2 policy priorities that we would review for that year. And with that input, we decided on the policies of foster parent, recruitment and retention. And the second policy was services for families with lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning youth in foster care. In addition, we work with 2 other committees, the Mental Health Advisory Committee and the Alcohol and Other Drug Abuse Advisory Committee, to help plan the annual spring forum training on mental health and substance abuse issues, which has a great effect on child welfare services. We also met monthly with the Child Welfare Agency to review the impact of the pandemic on children and families involved in child protective services and to learn about how the agency was serving this population. So starting with our first priority, recruitment and retention of resource parents, otherwise known as foster parents. We continue to work with the agency on this. We've made a few preliminary suggestions. We have also met with the Montgomery County Foster Parent Association, and we're developing an information tool to learn more about the experience of being a foster family in Montgomery County. In addition, we discussed with the agency how to analyze data to show where foster parents are currently located and where the need for foster parents was greatest in the county. Regarding our LGBTQ foster youth priority, we began this assessment with reviewing 2 prior Child Welfare Services resource home surveys and developing our own survey, asking Child Welfare Service to complete it. We are now in the process of reviewing the staff's answer to that survey. We also laid the initial groundwork to clarify our roles and responsibilities to ensure that our current and planned activities remain within our mission and scope. And in the upcoming year, the State Citizen Review Board for Children has confirmed it will provide background and resource information to new panel members, as well as ongoing training to current panel members. So that about wraps up what we've been working on this year, and we thank the county for its support.
Thank you so much, Ms. Breyer. I do have a bunch of questions for you. We'll get back to that after the next 2 groups speak and we pause. Has somebody from the Board of Social Services joined us yet? Not yet. Okay, so we will move on to Ms. Barbara Seltzer with the Commission on Aging.
Good morning. The Commission on Aging thanks the County Council and the Health and Human Services Committee for its strong support of older adults over the years. Our top priorities include funding the expansion of in-home care to more older county residents, including those who do not qualify for state programs. Older adults overwhelmingly prefer to remain in their own homes. They actively seek home and community-based services to avoid or postpone nursing home placement. State Medicaid waiver programs have strict eligibility requirements and long waiting lists, leaving eligible residents waiting a long time for support. The Commission on Aging seeks to expand the number of residents eligible for needed services by increasing Medicaid waiver slots and to decrease the time residents wait to receive assessments by increasing staffing to improve the timeliness and quality of eligibility assessments. Many older adults need home and community-based services, but are not eligible for Medicaid, what we at the Commission call the gap population, those individuals that have too high incomes to be eligible for Medicaid, but who cannot afford the high cost of in-home care. The Commission on Aging urges increases in funding to support this gap population to receive the home and community-based services they need to remain safely in their homes. Our second priority is to increase funding to help promote services available for older adults. The county offers many services and programs for older adults with a wide range of needs and abilities. However, many older adults are unaware of these valuable programs. Therefore, the Commission on Aging requests dedicated funding to promote these services, as well as staffing to help communicate vital information, such as a senior fellow for communications. The Commission on Aging has identified other items for which we will advocate during the budget cycle, including funding the Access Hears program to do a pilot in Montgomery County, a program that helps provide low-income seniors with hearing aids and navigation support to obtain information about hearing loss. Restoring cuts to the Escorted Transportation program. Expanding funding for the Housing Initiative Fund to increase the supply of affordable housing for older adults in Montgomery County. Fully funding the licensure and regulatory nursing home inspections program, which provide funding for Montgomery County surveyors no longer provided by the state. And finally, funding for a full-time facilitator for Age-Friendly Montgomery program. I appreciate the opportunity to share the Commission's priorities for budget year fiscal year 23. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't believe that somebody has joined us yet from the Board of Social Services. Is that correct, Ms. Young? Okay, so why don't we pause here and ask questions of these two panels, and then we'll go on to the next group after that. So Ms. Seltzer and Ms. Breyer, if you could turn on your cameras, we will, and turn on your mics, we will go to you both next. So thank you so much. Ms. Breyer, thank you so much for your testimony. We know that, you know, this has been an extraordinarily difficult time and emotional time for families. We know that while during the pandemic, the number of cases was lowered, but the depth of those cases had increased. That we had heard reports of emergency rooms seeing really, you know, more severe cases. And so I also know that, you know, within our child welfare space in particular, we have a number of vacancies that I know the Department of Health and Human Services is working diligently to try and fill as soon as possible. But from the board's perspective, from the review panel's perspective, can you describe a little bit on what you're seeing and just as an update from last year, have those trends continued? Is there anything there that's alarming, particularly with regards to the number of vacancies that we have? Just any thoughts or reflections on that would be helpful.
Well, I'm basing this on what we hear from the Child Welfare Agency, and that is that they do have many vacancies and that it's difficult to fill those vacancies. And I think that's a problem kind of across the board with a lot of employers, but especially child welfare is such a demanding job that it is difficult to get the number of social workers that are needed. So I do agree that that's a problem that we've been hearing about this year with our meetings with child welfare.
Absolutely. And in terms of foster parents recruitment, so and I so appreciate the continued focus in that area, particularly as we have sort of another wave of unaccompanied minors that have come into our community that we are doing our best to provide services for. Any tips or guidance or advice, any areas that you believe we need to enhance, whether it's marketing or communication or outreach, but do you see unique opportunities maybe now in this new Zoom environment for us to be able to do engagement in any way?
Well, I do think it's important to do outreach because there's a need for more foster parents. From the reports we've gotten, we've been lucky in the county to have some Spanish-speaking foster parents, which really helps with that population. But as far as, the kinds of things we've thought of are maybe reaching out through neighborhood listservs, people that might read those that might not see other kinds of outreach. So maybe more like a neighborhood kind of outreach, if that's possible. And it does seem like the Foster Parents Association is a great resource to use them because they are in touch with current foster parents. So they know kind of what foster parents are looking for. And sometimes word of mouth is a good way to get additional foster parents. So I don't have a whole lot of answers, but it's something that we'll continue to look at.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then for our commission, and I see council members Rice and Glass both have questions and comments as well. So I'll wrap up a couple of questions now for the Commission on Aging and then defer to my colleagues. But Ms. Seltzer, thank you so much. One question I have for you, maybe this is something the commission can follow up on, but the council passed last year the accessory dwelling unit policy. And for me in particular, I was especially interested in advancing that policy because I do think it really benefits our aging population. You led with, and I completely agree, most of our residents would prefer to stay in their homes as long as they are able to. But often the economics of that become challenging, and being able to develop an accessory dwelling unit really makes a difference in being able to either create a multi-generational home in which the children of our aging population come back and maybe have kids of their own, and an ADU is built for mom or dad, or an ADU is built as another means by which we can have another revenue source to help offset other expenses. In your opinion, and I know I'm catching a little flat-footed here, but do you think that as a matter of policy can help? Is that something that we should be promoting more of? Because in recent analysis, there hasn't been quite as many applications for accessory dwelling units as we thought there might be, because we relaxed some of the rules and regulations and allowed homes to be able to have more of these. So just curious about your thoughts on that.
So I believe the auxiliary dwelling unit is a very fruitful approach because it addresses a number of issues. One thing that people probably don't think about is the fact that social isolation is a huge problem and has only become more of a problem during the pandemic. The auxiliary dwelling unit provides a way to combat social isolation at the same time as it means, at the same time that it provides a place for people to live. I think it's a very important program. One suggestion I would make is that many older adults who would like to use auxiliary dwelling units are not able to fund the initial changes or renovations to their places to allow for that. So some support to help people, I think, may be one reason why you're not getting the applications you thought you were going to get. I also think that the program, there's a pilot program that helps match people with auxiliary dwelling units and people who are seeking affordable housing. And I think that's a very, very valuable program. It's very, very helpful. It takes some of the fear away from older adults who either are on the renting side or on the on the side offering homes to people. And so that program, I think, should continue to be funded. It's a pilot program. It's had something of a slow start. We were disappointed on the commission to see that it's had a slow start, but we believe that given enough promotion, being able to make people aware of it would really make a difference. And I hope you will continue to support that program.
Thank you so much. I have a couple questions I'll follow up with, but I'm going to yield now to my colleagues. First, Councilmember Rice, followed by Councilmember Glass. Councilmember Rice.
Well, thank you very much. And those were great questions. So you stole a couple of mine. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My one question is for Ms. Ryer when it comes to foster families, because I know that, and the Council Vice President knows this all too well, the cost of raising children is incredibly high now and has changed so much. Do we feel as though the guidelines for the resources that are provided for our foster families are enough? And could that be a hindrance or a challenge when it comes to some of our families who are not only giving of their love, but giving of their resources? And we want to make sure that that isn't standing in the way of them being able to have this positive impact on these children's lives.
That's not something that we've seen as a problem. It seems as though the foster parents do have the resources that they need, but it's certainly something that we could look into further. I think sometimes it's just the commitment of time and there's some fears during the pandemic of taking children in. Just a lot of that, those are factors, but certainly we could look more into whether resources are an issue.
Okay, I appreciate that. Just looking at the rising costs of everything that's around us, inflation is at an also from that perspective, I'm just always concerned when it comes to us asking folks to do great things that we know that they want to do out of the kindness of their heart and genuine spirit, but at the same time also, have a significant impact on their financial resources. So just wanted to make sure we were squared away there.
Okay, well, it's certainly something we can look into further. So thank you for the question.
That's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Back to you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rice. Councilmember Glass.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President, and good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you. Really good conversation, and I appreciate you sharing with us where your groups and commissions have been over the last year. And I just have a few comments or points to raise. Ms. Breyer, I really appreciate this review panel looking at LGBTQ youth in foster care, and taking a step back for folks. Part of the reason we know that is so important is because so many times LGBTQ youth are not accepted by their families. And among the homeless population, 40% of our youth are LGBTQ, a vast disproportionate number. And so I really appreciate you all taking a look at this and working with staff to figure out how we can do right by some of our most marginalized youth in our community and in the region. So my husband and I thank you for that sincerely. And then Ms. Seltzer, real quick, I always love the ideas and recommendations from the Commission on Aging, because as Montgomery County has the largest percentage of seniors as a share of our population than all other jurisdictions in the DC region, you all are really on the forefront, living day to day and telling us what we need to be aware of. And so that's why these recommendations are so important. And, I'll just quickly note one of the recommendations that you had mentioned. All of them I think are fantastic, especially making sure that the transportation funding for JCA and other programs are restored. But one of the ideas that you had that was in your recommendations was about the marketing and advertising for older adults. And I'll just share with you one story that during the height of the pandemic, earlier this spring, when vaccination clinics were starting to pop up around the county, people were sharing information online, right? And I was receiving lots of actually phone calls, right? Which exacerbates the problem here. Lots of phone calls from people saying, I'm having trouble getting online. And can you please help us register people? And that kind of hit its zenith within my office when people were sharing links to get vaccinated. And there was one particular day, I'm sure most of us remember this on this Zoom, that Richard Montgomery saw a flood of people and the police had to be called in because people were trying to register and get in ahead of the queue that had been created by public health experts. And this one woman called me that afternoon, a 90-year-old Black woman living in Rockville, who said she was waiting outside in the freezing weather and was never able to get inside and was so worried that she had lost her appointment and wasn't quite sure how to re-register. And so we tried to work with her to get her online, but then, we just jumped the line, called HHS, and we got her an appointment the next day, given that she was very much entitled to her vaccination appointment. And so summarizing all of that and bringing it together, the marketing and advertising for the services needs to be done in a way that isn't solely online, right? And we need to try and figure out other ways to be able to serve residents, seniors, who, even if they are online, are having access issues. So I just wanted to share that one story about highlighting some of the needs that are here, and that we're working through it. But again, your recommendations always help make us push to be better, and hopefully, through this budget and through HHS listening, we can be our better selves here.
I just would like to respond to your comment and
Yeah.
say that the Commission on Aging is extremely aware of the fact that we need to promote programs through the online mechanism, but many other ways. And just as an example of the kinds of things the Commission is doing, we have a communications committee that works on this issue. And one of the things they did is assign libraries to every commissioner so that we could be sure that printed information is available at all of the public libraries, available at senior centers, available at congregate living places and that sort of thing. So we are very, very cognizant of that issue. I want to assure you of that.
Sure, and that's great. You know, I said that you were on the front line, but you clearly are also our eyes and ears and in infiltrating the libraries to let us know how they're better, how they're serving and need to better serve our residents. So thank you both very much for your work and for being with us this morning. And Mr. Chair, I yield.
Thank you so much. Just one final comment. So Ms. Seltzer, going back to the concept of living in place, the council right now is taking up Thrive 2050, which is pretty controversial document that's generated a lot of interest and discussion, and I believe a very healthy way. We will be having a series of work sessions shortly after the new year to tackle this issue. I'd be curious as the commission's just thoughts. You don't have to answer this right now, but if possible, I think it would be helpful to receive some reflections from the commission as it relates obviously to aging. There was a great emphasis on creating communities that are more walkable and that have more amenities accessible that don't require getting into a vehicle to be able to access, which obviously would help our senior community. But there's also questions about particularly the component around attainable housing. So any thoughts or reflections on that post this event that you could share with the committee, which I can then share with my colleagues on the council, would actually be very helpful because I think, as we know, our aging population continues to be and will be for the foreseeable future the fastest growing demographic we have in the county. And so we're doing what we can from an infrastructure standpoint, policy, programming, you name it. But I just would be curious as to your thoughts on that. So.
Well, the Thrive 2050 is something that the Commission on Aging has been looking very carefully at, particularly the parts related to transportation. We've had speakers from the Department of Transportation come and speak to us, and also from the Planning Department to speak to us about the walkability regulations in Thrive 2050. We will have a commissioner who specializes in transportation who will be going to the public hearings on Thrive 2050. And with your permission, I'd like to bring this back to the commission and have other commissioners work with me to provide a written statement on our response to 2050. So that's something our Public Policy Committee does do a great deal of advocacy work in terms of writing letters and taking positions on legislation, excuse me. And we certainly are very interested in providing you our views on Thrive 2050. But in general, we have been really impressed with a lot of the recommendations. We feel like they've been very important. Obviously, the more controversial issue on the housing is something that we're very, very interested in, and will definitely provide response to you.
Thank you. That'd be extremely helpful. Well, thank you to this first panel. We appreciate joining us.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, yes, Councilmember Rice.
Sorry, I just had one follow-up, and your conversation about Thrive 2050 reminded me, if we're also going to look at ADUs, which I think is incredibly important, and what more we can do to encourage the use and support of those, also when it comes to design for life, and the ZTA guidelines that we passed and how successful that's been. I know it was a pilot also, but certainly want to understand from the Commission on Aging what their thoughts are in terms of how we can look at expanding that in consult with Thrive 2050 and the vision that we have there for more of this design to life guidelines, aging in place as we design our housing and build our housing. So just wanted to put a pin in that. If we could also come back to that as well, synopsis about the success that we've had and some of the things that we can continue to do to increase its efficacy.
So I'd like to just comment to let you know that the Commission on Aging has in fact had several sessions on Design for Life. It's something that we believe is critically important. Even things, very small things, for example, like making sure that there are bathtubs in housing, in affordable housing, is something that people don't think about, and yet that instead of bathtubs, rather, that there are showers for older adults, things like that are so important. And again, I will definitely look at Thrive 2050 with my colleagues and get back to you. We are very, very supportive of the Design for Life concepts. We think it's critically important for older adults. We think it's critically important that they be incorporated into the regulations going forward to help with particularly affordable housing for seniors. And so that is something that we are thinking about and working on, and we will definitely provide response to your question.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry about that.
No, thank you, Councilmember Rice. That's a really important point. So we gave you a few homework assignments, Ms. Seltzer. Apologies, but thank you so much for joining us.
We're delighted to get back to you on that.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you so much, Ms. Pryor. Next up, has anybody joined us from the Board of Social Services, Ms. Yao?
Sorry about that.
No worries. Doesn't look like it.
I do not see Mr.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to the next three panels then. Next, we're going to hear from our Commission on Child Care, followed by the Commission on Children and Youth. And then we will hear from our Commission on Juvenile Justice. And so first, our Commission on Child Care and Tracy Clay William Hegwood.
Hello, thank you so much for allowing us to present. We're going to share this presentation. So Mr. Hedgewood, if you would put your camera on, that would be helpful. The overview of the mission of Commission of Child Care is to advise the county executive and the county council on the development, implementation, and effectiveness of the government policies, programs, and services that enhance the community support for equity, affordability, and accessibility of child care. During the fiscal year starting in 2021, focusing its work on the recovery and staying abreast of the work to distribute the PPE, ensuring the reopening of placements in child care programs throughout the county, keeping an eye towards the children and families who may be the most vulnerable during the pandemic. Throughout the year, we refined our policies to reflect those that would serve best and the current needs of families, children, and the child care workforce in Montgomery County. Through monitoring and supporting the actions of the county agencies and providing input to solutions to the county officials and residents, I know that we've made a difference and an impact in this. So for our priorities, Mr. Edgewood is going to announce what our priorities are for the fiscal 2022.
Okay, sure thing. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. It's about a 3-second delay there. All right. So first priority will be is to provide feedback to the County Council and County Executive on the Early Care and Education Initiative Action Plan in an effort to support the county's child care system response and recovery with specific focus on equity and operational recovery. The second priority would be to focus on sustainability of the early care and education workforce by providing recommendations on ways to increase compensation for early childhood educators in an effort to attract and maintain professionals to commit to early childhood education as a long-term career option. Okay, yes.
So that's our report.
Tracy, yeah, keeping simple.
Great. Well, thank you both. We do have some questions, but we'll get to those after hearing from the next two panels. Next, we will hear from the Commission on Children and Youth and Renee Mcpherson.
Good morning, all. My name is, can you all hear me clearly?
We can, yes.
Perfect, thank you. My name is Renee Mcpherson. I am the current chair on the Commission on Children and Youth. The Commission on Children and Youth promotes the well-being of Montgomery County children and youth and families so that all young people may realize their full potential and become contributing, productive adults. We do this by supporting policy and budget decisions that promote the safety and well-being of children and youth, and by working so that they have access to successful futures. We also like to boast that we are one of the few commissions who actually have our youth as full-time commissioners. This year, for our priorities, we have identified two specific areas. One priority area is on accessible youth spaces. So we seek to explore various safe and accessible spaces that can serve county youth outside of the school day. These spaces ideally would be locations where young people can connect with their peers and have access to social, emotional, recreational, and academic support. Considerations will include, but are not limited to, geographical locations of spaces in underserved areas, services and programs for all ages of youth, access for young people with disabilities. Our second priority this year is youth employment opportunities. So as one of the aims of the CCY is to promote the well-being of our county's children and youth so that they have access to successful futures. One way we would like to support this is by examining the ways in which current Montgomery County programs provide equitable access to all of our youth so that they may explore various career pathways in a supportive setting. The CCY will consider the ways in which young people are able to currently seek employment while developing workplace skills that they can take with them into adulthood. Additionally, we will explore the ways in which county programs can partner with the private sector to gain practical skills and networking. Finally, this year we are planning to host our 15th annual Youth Having a Voice Roundtable. During this time, we allow our youth to have the opportunity to speak out, to share their experiences currently in Montgomery County, their reactions, responses to our top priority areas that we have identified for this year, as well as just any other insight they have about the current needs of young people in Montgomery County. So during that roundtable, and the details will be ironed out hopefully in the near future so that we can disseminate it to all interested parties. Us as the adults will just use this opportunity to listen and truly have it be a youth roundtable where they are the ones facilitating, speaking, and we are just listening and learning. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Mcpherson. I definitely have questions for your panel as well.
No problem, I'm ready.
We'll get to that in a second or two. And then finally, in this panel, we will hear from our Commission on Juvenile Justice and Chris Jennison.
Good morning. Christopher Jennison here on behalf of the Commission on Juvenile Justice. It's good to be with you today. Thank you for letting us address you. The Commission recognizes the importance of supporting and advocating on behalf of opportunity youth, generally defined as people between the ages of 16 to 24, who are neither in school nor working, some of whom may be involved in the juvenile justice system and detained. And these young people represent a social and economic opportunity for the county. With that in mind, along with the need for continued revision of state juvenile justice legislation as recognized by the Juvenile Justice Reform Council, we have four main priorities this year. passing the Juvenile Interrogation Protection Act, which I spoke to you all about last year, and I'll say it in just a second again. Keeping youth out of adult detention facilities, minimizing the number of youth charged as adults automatically, and monitoring statewide school resource officer updates. So last year I spoke to you all about the Commission's work on the Juvenile Interrogation Protection Act, and we're again working on that this year. This legislation affords legal consultation and also parental consent for juveniles before there's a custodial interrogation. And while this legislation that worked on last year did make it out of the House of Delegates, it did not get a vote out of the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee. And the Commission has begun looking at whether, even if it doesn't make it through the state legislative process, we may be able to implement this on the local level, even without statewide action. As far as youth charged in adult facilities or detained in adult facilities, we're focusing again on ways of keeping justice-involved youth who are housed within Montgomery County detention facilities out of our adult detention facilities. It is a small number, but it's a persistent issue that we've had year after year, and we continue to hear from a number of guest speakers that come to talk to us. The third is the Commission is again looking at youth charged as adults. The Commission is studying the process of when somebody is automatically charged as an adult in certain offenses. And what is very troubling with this is only Alabama automatically sends more of its kids on a per capita basis into adult courts than does Maryland. And then finally, as I know has been a hot topic over the last year, we're continuing to monitor developments statewide with school resource officers, including trying to understand and figure out our place in advocacy on possible legislation for members of the Montgomery County delegation in the state legislature. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jennison. Just before I get to Councilmember Rice, just to, Ms. Yao, if you could follow up and confirm whether or not the council has taken a position on the state pieces of legislation that Mr. Jennison referred to. I would suspect my colleagues, if we have not, I would suspect that I certainly do, and I'm pretty sure Councilmembers Rice and Glass will feel the same way, to register our support for those pieces of legislation.
Thank you.
With that, Councilmember Rice, and then I'll put myself back in the queue after Councilmember Glass. Councilmember Rice.
Well, I'm just going to be very quick and just say that I really want to thank our Commission on Early Care and Education, because you, Mr. Chair, myself, Councilmember Navarro, have been working on this for a very, very long time in terms of really trying to stand up a system that private sector as well as our continued public sector support, and the importance of early care and education, especially now. And I love the fact that all of these things are tied together. I love these opportunities to hear from boards and commissions, because if we are truly to address the work of juvenile justice, we have to start at the beginning and make sure that we give our children the opportunities to really see that they have positive outcomes and positive outlooks on their lives, and that they have multiple opportunities of success. Because when we don't do that, we fail at that, then children then can make bad decisions, right? They don't have to. And that's not what we want. We want to try and eliminate as much of that as possible, and then the negative repercussions that come along with that. And so we have to address things from the very beginning. And so really focusing on early care and education, making sure that we have our folks that are in that space that are paid appropriately. We know that our early care and education educators are paid less than other teachers, and that doesn't make any sense at all, because they are the foundation of what needs to happen in terms of the change. So from that perspective, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I hope that with what we're seeing that is going on, that we can groundswell of support for folks to understand just how important this is. And so we look forward to the Commission weighing in and giving us feedback in terms of their thoughts on the legislation that we put forth. When it comes to juvenile justice and when it comes to dealing with our school resource officers, we've been very clear in terms of how we want to make sure we maintain that balance of ensuring that children don't feel policed in schools, but also needs to be protected while in school as well. And so figuring out what that balance is between our school security. And so I look forward to seeing what pieces of legislation are out there from the state when it comes to this. I think great reform when it comes to our police and reimagining the elimination of the over and other things that will make our police force an even better police force for us. And so that's important because at the end of the day, our police are there to protect and serve the community, not there to marginalize or negatively impact the community. And if we get back to that, I think folks will have a much better outlook when it comes to involving and engaging our police department when it comes to how do we support and protect our children, not punish and be punitive and put them in prison, right? Those are the kinds of things that we want to avoid. So I said all that to just say thank you for all of the great work, and there's still so much work that needs to be done. So we're going to have to roll up our sleeves, honestly, as we continue to try and strive for a better community that has better outcomes for everyone involved. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rice. Councilmember Glass.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you all for joining us this morning. And to Ms. Clay and Mr. Hedgewood, Councilmember Rice spoke about the legislative and funding proposal that he and Council Vice President Albornoz and Councilmember Navarro have undertaken and have already introduced to the council to improve our child care services and make sure that they are more equitable and that more people have access to them. And so while he spoke about that proposal, I want to applaud him and my two other colleagues for putting that forth. I know that has been a lot of conversations with your commission and with the private sector and the nonprofit organizations that are also doing that work, and the Department of Health and Human Services. I mean, it was a big effort with a lot of different stakeholders, and I'm glad that we're finally here. And so I just want to publicly thank all of you, and especially my colleagues and the commission members for putting forth a very thoughtful proposal to make our child care more equitable and, again, more affordable, because we know that is a problem here, one of the highest states for child care in the entire country. So thank you for those efforts. And then I too will be brief with regard to our other guests. Ms. Mcpherson, amen to everything that you said about the need for more after-school efforts and more spaces for kids, you know, just let's think outside the box as to how we provide these young people with services. My colleagues know that before I was on the council, I ran an after-school program, Gandhi Brigade Youth Media, where we were trying to find places to have youth access our after-school media programs. And I partnered with our libraries. And so we basically picked libraries around the county, and it was a wonderful partnership. And so happy to work with you and others to, think creatively about how to do this. And then another thing that all of us care passionately about is access, and, allowing all of our kids to ride the buses for free and allowing them to get around the county to wherever these programs or part-time jobs or, just being a kid and just wanting to hang out with friends in another part of the county. That is a tremendous resource as well. And when we made Ride On free for kids, ridership increased 57%, right? So when we provide these opportunities, they're going to take on. And so let's keep thinking creatively, because space is a premium, and we hear that not only from nonprofits but from others as well. So I look forward to continuing this conversation, which is something that's motivated me before getting onto the council. And then, Mr. Jennison, I appreciate our continued conversations about life here in Montgomery County and ways to support our youth as well. Again, another commonality between this panel. And a few weeks ago, Councilmember Rice and I had the opportunity to attend WorkSource Montgomery's big announcement for a new program, their YES program, which are providing job training for some of our most underserved youth in a collaboration with Identity and LAYC. And I think that is hopefully going to be very fruitful in engagement and in educational opportunities. And so while there are some things that we need to correct within the criminal justice system, and I appreciate the chair checking in to see if we have weighed in on some of that state legislation and fully support those efforts. Some of the re-entry opportunities once they come out of these situations, making sure that we have those lined up. And I think that's what part of the YES program will be, so that we can make sure that everybody is fully prepared to re-engage in life, start their lives anew, and provide for their families. Because one of the young people who attended that event was 20 years old. He was there with his girlfriend and their newborn baby. And that life can't be easy. And so we need to make sure that he has the education and job training to be able to care for them as well. So Mr. Jennison, thank you. And to everybody, thank you for your engagement and your work, and look forward to talking with you offline if that's another venue. But thank you all for being here this morning.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Glass. So I want to start with you, Mr. Jennison, and thank you so much for that testimony. It really struck me. The statistic that we are just behind Alabama as number 2 in the country is shocking and awful, and frankly embarrassing. And so any and all efforts to make sure that we turn the tide on that, I think this council is poised to support. I'll give you a specific example. There was a tragedy a couple of months ago in front of our Plumgar Community Center in which a 14-year-old boy with a ghost gun murdered a 22-year-old young man with indiscriminately shooting. The automatic default was to charge that 14-year-old as an adult in that specific case, which John McCarthy, our state's attorney, acknowledged he would have preferred not to automatically have done. The mother of the victim in that case has stated publicly that she holds no anger towards the shooter. She just acknowledged he's a victim of a broader issue. And I've had the opportunity to speak to the victim's mother on several occasions. She's a remarkable woman on every conceivable level. That family is extraordinary. Her concern was more that 14-year-old received help and that his younger brother also received help. I mean, just the outpouring of love and support was just extraordinary. So anything and everything that we can do as a council to support those efforts is really important because, and I want to ask you, I have to assume that there are longitudinal studies at this point that prove that type of penalization doesn't work just on the merits. And so I know that to be true, generally speaking. So why we keep doing this and repeating the same mistakes of generations is still beyond me. But any thoughts or reflections on that, or any, and you can get back to us, but if there are any reports that are out there that prove unequivocally that charging our children and youth as adults, A, doesn't work, and B, actually just contributes to the cycle of crime and victimization that we've seen for generations at this point.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember. And you've kind of hit it on the head. We have a subcommittee that's studying this closer, and we will be happy to get you back to you with some more information. But the American Bar Association has studied this pretty extensively and found that any kind of mandatory automatic charging elevated up to adult courts is really inappropriate on several levels. And while the state has carved down the number of offenses that do have that automatic charging, the kind of across the board, the academic community and the practical community in this recognizes that there should really be discretion or the ability to waive up if needed, but not an automatic waive or an automatic transfer up for certain offenses, exactly to the example that you gave. But we'll be happy to follow up with that as well.
That would be great. And then if we could, I've heard this repeatedly, that, it shouldn't take arriving at a juvenile detention facility or even jail to receive the kind of mental health or substance abuse support that children and youth had needed all along. We heard from one of our commissions on Monday the need for us to be able to establish a facility similar to the one that we have for Avery Road for adults that address the substance abuse issue for youth. And that was among their strongest recommendations. I'd suggest aligning your all's work with theirs to combine efforts and see if we can push for more aggressively. It will take time, unfortunately, but push more aggressively for such a facility, because the holistic ability to address the needs of youth or adults in a system like that is extraordinary, because it combines intake and outtake care in a way that few other places provide. So we'd love to connect that dot and come back to you on that. But thank you so much for your testimony and all that you all do. Next, I want to go to the Commission for Children and Youth. Thank you all so much, Ms. Mcpherson. And I was smiling broadly when you were talking about youth employment, because it was actually Councilmember Rice who helped launch TeenWorks when, as a first-term council member, and I was still at the Recreation Department. Councilmember Reamer and Councilmember Navarro were also very involved in the development of that program, and it has, in the most beautiful way possible, taken a life of its own. I wonder, though, if this is a unique opportunity for us. Our employers are struggling to find workers across the board. And I wonder if there's an opportunity for us to more intentionally connect our youth who are in our community right now. We have the Summer Rise program, which has been, I think, a tremendous success, but just scratching the surface on what's possible out there. You know, the District of Columbia has, without a doubt, one of the most robust youth employment programs in the country, and has for generations. That was actually started under Marion Barry. And I know that to this day, I run into people who are friends of mine who say that they got their first job through that program. And for all the reasons you stated, not only does it provide a paycheck, but it also helps our young people understand and get into the rhythm of what it's like to be held accountable and to have a job, which then, regardless of what career they choose later, lays the groundwork for that career. So would love to expand on those efforts and see what more we can do there, and would love your thoughts and reflections on that.
Thank you. And it's actually funny that you shared the piece about TeenWorks and the DC youth employment, because one of our youth commissioners is currently in TeenWorks, and she was sharing her experiences with TeenWorks and COVID Corps this past year. And one of our adult commissioners got their first job in the DC youth employment summer program. So that has already been part of our discussion so far this year. We're still in the exploratory phase as far as research is concerned, because we do want to identify those gaps. We know that these programs exist. We know that there are employers looking for workers. We just have to figure out a better way to connect the two. So we are going to be inviting college and career counselors from local schools to come in and speak, individuals from the private sector, individuals from TeenWork, to kind of just share what specifically are we doing to engage our young people, teach them these workplace skills, and then how can we work to make sure that they actually get in these positions so that they can gain the experience that will be helpful for them as they move into adulthood, as well as you mentioned, just get money, because we have a lot of young people who need to earn money right now to support themselves and to support their families. So we hope to get more information. We hope to be able to provide some recommendations in the near future and really identify where those gaps are and how we can push things forward.
I appreciate that. And I do have a homework assignment for you as well. I hope that's okay. But my colleagues, council members Rice and Jawando, helped to stand up a youth advisory group that recently testified before the council. We were all immensely impressed with the level of depth and scope of their analysis and work. This was born out of the school resource officer discussion. But I just, having been around now for 15 years, I know there are a number of other youth advisory groups in the county and in some official capacity that advise the council and the county executive or other departments and agencies. It's been a while since we've mapped out which of those groups exist. And so I'd love to follow up with you and our central staff to identify which of those groups that are out there that are already in the charter in some form or fashion. There are youth advisory groups to the Recreation Department, which also advise the county exec. There's, of course, your wonderful group. There's the new group that Council members Jawando and Rice has recently stood up and that we hope will continue moving forward. We also know that there are youth advisory components to some of our ethnic and cultural advisory groups. So, and once we do that mapping analysis, I'd love to circle back with you all and see how we may be able to combine efforts and more strategically leverage the great work that's being done out there, because the youth voice is so important. And you all, I think, do such an effective job of creating a time and space for that youth voice to not just be heard, but to be done in a way that's productive and especially engaging for both the youth and the adults that help facilitate the program. It's really beautiful. I've been to a bunch of your meetings. So would love to follow up with you on that, but I think that would be really helpful.
Okay, thank you. Look forward to hearing from you soon.
Great. And then finally to our incredible commission that focuses on early childhood education. Thank you all so much. This has been critically important. We should honestly rename you guys economic development because childcare right now is the key, not just from a moral standpoint, to help our families, particularly women who have been leaving the workforce in droves because they have not been able to find quality childcare that's affordable for them. But, it's holding us back from an economic development standpoint too. And so that it connects a lot of different dots. So I don't have a lot of questions for you all, just really expressing my deep appreciation for your continued engagement and collaboration and all the work that you all are doing to advise us. We are attempting to help coordinate efforts moving forward, acknowledging how important this work is. And that, there are foundation dollars, big ones, that are out there that I think we may have a chance to be able to better access moving forward. But then also thinking strategically about, how to combine all of the great efforts that are out there. So thank you all so much for your work. So we are now going to move on to our next panel. And that will include our Commission on People with Disabilities, our Commission on Veteran Affairs, and our Community Action Board. So we are going to start with our Commission on People with Disabilities, and we are joined by Dr. Seth Morgan this morning. Dr. Morgan, thank you so much for your continued leadership in so many different ways. You look great, I will say. I know you've had a tough year and a half, sir, but we're so thrilled that you're with us this morning, and I yield to you.
Thank you very much, Chairman Albornoz. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. Our document is longer than it was intended to be, and we apologize for that, but I think the overarching priorities that we are highlighting are to improve inclusiveness and equity in all issues of the county function. And we do give kudos to you all because you're already well on the way. You've created the paradigm of how to do this and do it well, and we just want to improve ongoing. So please do not take any of these comments as critical, other than as suggestions. And I will not read it because I know that's way too long, but I will hit on certain highlights. The first item that we have is to continue to access and make available accessible and safe transportation. And in that regard, we do have some shortcomings. Taxi service, for instance, the TSIF, the Transportation Services Improvement Fund, which was established in part because of our commission's actions 6 years ago, has not been used, unfortunately, in the fashion that it was originally intended. And we continue to work with you and want to improve that. The wait times for taxis for disabled individuals who need a van continue to be way too long. I mean, if you call for a taxi service that is accessible, you can expect to wait anywhere from up to 3 hours to a day in order to get a taxi service. Imagine asking any other group to tolerate that kind of delay, and I think you would see that that would not be tolerated on any level. And I also point out that pedestrian deaths are on the increase, but building sidewalks is not a prioritized issue over building bike lanes. And the issue of bike lanes, unfortunately, are being wedged into situations in which pedestrian sidewalk safety is impacted and that is particularly of a problem for people with disabilities. And we just think there's a better way of doing it, and we'd like to be involved with the process from the beginning. We would also suggest that there be established a housing locator staff member to assist with non-elderly disabled vouchers in the Housing Opportunities Commission. That would be approximately $100,000 per year. We also would ask for, I wanted to highlight that early intervention, which is a conglomerate of various interested individuals across the county, has now changed its name to MoCo Better Beginnings. And the emphasis that is being made at this juncture is to provide helping pediatric providers, primarily servicing economically disadvantaged regions, to be able to identify early developmental disabilities. And it is an ongoing process with request for this year being $99,000 to promote that program with an overall current budget of $592,000 over 5 years. Finally, the fund development for disability supplement. I'm sorry, it's not finally, it's the next one. The fund, the development of supplement should continue for developmental disability services, which has been supported by the county because of the high cost of living and working in Montgomery County, and we would ask that that be continued. And finally, we suggest that there be increased employment opportunities for people with disabilities. Funded organizations should have performance measures that can be monitored as to outcomes. At this juncture, there are no such abilities that we have to monitor the effectiveness of the funds that are being used, and we would recommend that that be part of it, part of the next project. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan. Have some questions. We'll get to those after the next two panelists speak and we pause. Next, we will hear from our Commission on Veteran Affairs. Joining us this morning are Wayne Miller and Robert Kaufman. Do we see them? Nope. So let's move on then to our Community Action Board, Lisette Engel.
Hi, good morning. Lisette Orellana Engel. I am the Vice Chair of the Community Action Board. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share our priorities with you all. We'll start off with VITA. The Community Action Agency's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program has continued to provide services to low-income and middle-income county households throughout the pandemic. Our clients, 82% of which are non-white, are linked to crucial earned income tax and child tax credits. We were very excited this past year to see the Maryland EITC expanded to more households, including ITIN holders, and to see increases to child tax credits, which were huge wins. We applaud the County Council for ensuring full funding of the Working Families Income Supplement and expanding the credit to include all filers who qualify for the federal or state EITC. Our VITA program is currently staffed by just 2 full-time employees and 1 contractor, so we're very small, and we understand that the County Council previously recommended allocating $180,000 in ARPA funding to expand VITA services through additional support. With the Community Action Agency continuing to serve as the lead for the county's VITA partnership, we request ongoing support for the agency to ensure coordination of these crucial services. Our next priority is access to services and navigation. Our board appreciates the wide range of services offered in the county, but there's still a concern about equitable access to these services. As we've heard from some of our participants in the Community Action Institute, there still continues to be a concern about access, and there's confusion around how to apply and access these services. We applaud the DHHS efforts to strengthen access for equity through the new 311 HHS brokers, adopting new technology to streamline access, and establishing a navigation working group. And we're also very excited about the 5 new navigator positions, which will work with the county's hubs and will link people with critical services. Since these positions are funded by the CARES Act, though, we know that they're temporary, and we strongly suggest and encourage the exploration of navigation as an important permanent component of service delivery. We also note that the TESS Community Action Center has utilized 2 brokers for the past 5 years, which is not equitable. And therefore, we recommend converting these positions to full-time merit staff. Our next priority is early childhood education. We thank the Council for its support of childcare providers and families. We recommend continued support to providers and additional support for families who really need it. The CAB supports a mixed delivery system that includes public agencies, nonprofits, family childcare providers, and childcare centers. Additionally, comprehensive birth to 5 services to enable children to enter school ready to learn and reduce opportunity gaps are a huge necessity. And finally, housing and utility expenses. We all know affordable housing continues to be a challenge in our community. In 2019, about half of all renters in the county were housing cost burdened, meaning that they were spending more than 30% of their income in housing alone. We applaud the Council's efforts to protect renters with COVID-19 Rental Relief Act and other legislation that the Board has supported. We encourage the Council to continue to explore rent forgiveness options, rent and utility relief programs, and the creation of more affordable housing options to support our neighbors who are housing burdened. The Community Action Board thanks HHS Committee for this opportunity to share our priority and recommendations, and we look forward to continuing to work with you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Engel. You know, nobody's joined us from the Veterans Affairs Commission, is that correct? Okay, and we still don't have anybody from the, just confirming the name.
Board of Social Services.
Board of Social Services, is that right too? Okay, so why don't we do this? Ms. Tanisha Woods-Miles, why don't we hear from you now? And then we will ask questions of all 3 panels, speakers at the end. So that we kind of keep with the 3, 3, and 3. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I am Tanisha Woods-Miles, the Vice Chair for our Early Childhood Coordinating Council. And the ECCC is Montgomery County's Early Childhood Advisory Council, and we monitor, advocate, and make policy recommendations for the development of a comprehensive system of early care and education in the county. And you all have a list of our priorities in front of you that I'll briefly touch on. And before I do that, I just want to say thank you all to the council, and particularly to council members Albernaz, Rice, who are here, as well as council member Navarro for the introduction of the legislation last week. We are excited to get that and look forward to working with you all on the implementation around it. And we have 3 priorities that I'll address today. I think of those really, the ECC's priorities as part of a 3-legged stool, with each of them being necessary to hold up the early care and education system in our county. And an important part of our work is really the application of an equity lens. We think about racial equity and social justice as being critical ingredients for implementing these priorities. So the first priority is around mental health and social emotional well-being of children, families, and the child care workforce. High quality early care and education systems require a workforce that has the mental health supports and related technical assistance that are necessary for them to care for themselves and to be in a position to support children's social and emotional development, as well as meeting the needs of parents. And we are especially sensitive to the urgency of this need, given the pandemic, when so many of us are dealing with additional stressors and challenges. Our second priority is on child care sustainability and systems, integrating a broad approach to the sustainability of child care as an industry, as a workforce, and as a provider of enriching and educational experiences for children. So here we really are thinking about this from a holistic perspective in terms of the sustainability of this sector.
We are very invested in ensuring that childcare options exist and that they remain accessible to families. And not only is this critical to families, but it's also important for employers. Parents need to have a safe and enriching place to take their children in order for them to show up fully at work. And so we recognize and are supportive of that as part of our work. Building on this, the ECCC, we have focused our efforts around high-tech and low-tech methods to reach families so that they are aware of the childcare options that are available to them. And so we've looked into a local locate technology so that families are able to find seats that are available that will meet their specific needs. And importantly, our priorities also focus on the workforce, being able to receive alternative pathways to obtain their educational credentials. So this is a really important piece of the work and is related to also to compensation. So we, similar to the Commission on Childcare, are invested in increased compensation for the early childhood workforce. This reflects the work that they do. And both of these issues are also issues around quality and equity. And then our third priority area is around advocacy. So our advocacy efforts are outlined here. We are partnering with Montgomery moving forward to implement our advocacy efforts. We want to address those that are listed here today, as well as remaining nimble and addressing issues as they arise. Very briefly, we're focused on 0 to 3 age range, in addition to our overarching mission, which is really from 0 to 5 years of age. But thinking about the Pritzker-funded Building Better Beginnings initiative, we're also organizing our advocacy efforts around the competency credential and career ladder. And this is particularly important in the context of the Curran Commission, thinking about the kind of credentials or educational requirements that early educators will need to have. And then licensing and regulatory requirements, that is a good part of our advocacy efforts focus on that. And the last thing I'll mention is really foundational to our advocacy efforts and our broader work is the application of an equity lens, which I mentioned earlier. So thinking about vulnerable populations, including those families that are Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as those who across the socioeconomic spectrum, wanting to ensure that our work will address those needs as well. And with that, I will yield the floor and look forward to hearing any questions that you all may have or any remarks that I can take back to our full council. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Glass, you're first up this time.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I'll start with you, Ms. Woods-Miles. I appreciate all of your comments and your comprehensive list of ideas and recommendations. I absolutely love it, especially the continued focus on equity. And, you know, I'm not quite sure there's much more for me to say because you have provided a very detailed roadmap to enhance the advocacy and enhance the work that needs to be done. But you started off your comments absolutely pitch perfect in acknowledging the legislation that was recently introduced by Council Vice President Albornoz and Council Members Rice and Navarro. And I think that really will set the stage to help move forward some more of the ideas and the recommendations that you've outlined and that we know need to be done. And so I appreciate your work and appreciate my colleagues for really setting the stage for what I know will be in a very important conversation over the next few months. So I look forward to seeing you before the various committees or the full council as that legislation moves forward and any of the continued ideas or recommendations that the coordinating council might have. So I look forward to seeing more of you. And then I see our other friends have joined us. Lisette, thank you for the work that you and the Community Action Board are doing. I think it was last year, well, I know it was last year. I'm trying to remember exactly what the time frame was, but I had a conversation at the Community Action Board, and I heard a number of issues that needed to be brought to our attention. One of them was the VITA program. And it was after listening to the firsthand accounts of individuals who need that program, from the board and also from the community, hearing about the enormous wait lists, that I led the effort on the council to increase the support for that VITA program. And, it was really a 1-2 combo, because we knew that the changing tax system and the increased need on residents for residents was one of the reasons to increase the VITA program. But then when the state expanded the earned income tax credit, and then Council Vice President Albornoz and Councilmember Navarro extended that tax credit here, we know that people needed to access that tax credit. Right? Otherwise, it would be for naught. So recognizing the increased tax credit and the increased need to apply for that tax credit, I think created this perfect storm where we have been able to provide increased services. And so, again, I appreciate your outreach and advocacy there. And again, this is one more thing that the Community Action Board has talked about, you've advocated for, and we're making real progress here. So please congratulate and extend my heartfelt thanks to all of your board members as well, and keep up that good work, because the proof is in the pudding right here. And then last but certainly not least, Dr. Morgan, it is good to see you. You're looking well, which is good, very good. Thumbs up too. And so, you had started your comments by apologizing for your lengthy list of ideas, but please do not apologize at all. Your ideas and recommendations are absolutely important, which is why I know all of us attend the commission meeting as often as we're able to hear directly from you and the other residents who are on the Commission for People with Disabilities. And I also want to extend my appreciation to you all for being so active in the Vision Zero conversations, which should be changed, right? I think we've had that conversation as well. Yes, it is not aptly named. But earlier this year, I held I believe it was my second town hall, this one virtual. And actually, I think it was my third, and more than 200 people attended, but really appreciate members from the commission who came to echo the concerns that you just shared today about making our sidewalks more accessible for everybody, regardless of their ability. And it is a tough conversation that we're having, trying to recognize new and emerging needs without forgetting the people who are here. And the people who are having most difficulty not only figuring out the changing landscape, but then some of the new colors that are being included into these conversations and are being marked on our roadways. And the other ideas that you talked about regarding taxi service and other things, that we've had some robust conversations at the Transportation and Environment Committee. And so look forward to returning to another commission to talk about these issues, because they are always in progress. And we, as more ideas come about through the Department of Transportation, we have to make sure that you are all part of that conversation. And as the only member of the council who serves on Transportation and Environment and HHS, I do appreciate our collaboration in that regard, and pledge myself to continue that open line of communication wherever it may lead us, because you have to be part of those conversations. So those are all just my laudatory comments for all of you, and thanking you all for your work. And I'll yield back to the Vice President. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Glass. I just had a few questions and thoughts and reflections. So I'll start with you, Ms. Engel. Thank you so much to the Community Action Board. We so appreciate all that you all do. You're spot on with the notion of an expanded navigator system. That has, without a doubt, been one of the most effective tools within our Por Nuestra Salud y Bienestar initiative, where we hire just an army of health promoters that worked on connecting deeper into communities in ways that are very meaningful and impactful. I give Dr. Kroll a lot of credit because he's been talking about the need for an expanded navigation system. We've had a couple of different sessions with discussing our 311 call and operating system and how we can ensure that there's better support on the back end. And so that is a model that we want to more aggressively pursue, and one that we know will make a difference. So I just wanted to validate and verify that particular recommendation and let you know there are some steps being taken to move in that direction, which I think is critically important. I also just want to uplift, it wasn't part of your testimony, but one of the most important and impressive things that you all do is the advocacy and support around our county residents who need help filing their taxes. That level of support is extraordinary because, as we all know, our tax system is complete, and it's particularly important for our newly arriving immigrants who have to get adjusted to our system and want to be able to do the right thing, but often need a guide to help them get where they need to go. So I just want to very much validate and verify those thoughts. So thank you so much. Next, I want to go to our Commission for People with Disabilities. Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan. We are, as a follow-up to a recent conversation we had regarding the fund that's available to help underwrite the cost of our taxi system, which is not working, either for the providers themselves who provide the service, but most importantly, the residents who are not able to take advantage of this initiative. Here's an initiative that has funding, and so money's not the issue. It's just not being used in a way that's streamlined. So just as a preview, we will be having a joint transportation and environment and Health and Human Services Committee on this specific subject. We're working on trying to get that on the books as soon as possible, hopefully before the end of this calendar year, because we know there's urgency to get that right. And I'm hoping that that conversation expands to that specific program, but also touches on the need for more system building, which I think will be critically important. So thank you for those efforts. And I know that the issue of the bike lanes continues to be a big problem, and I know that the Commission feels in many ways unheard. There have been meetings, but there has been little follow-up, I get the sense, and that is something that I think will be important. On a smaller scale, the Council has put forward legislation based in large part to testimony we heard from the Commission regarding e-scooters as an example of the possibilities for unintended consequences that disproportionately impact our disability community, which are completely unacceptable and something that we have to focus on. The last thing I'll mention for you, Dr. Morgan, I know the other area that has been highlighted and we've been hearing a lot from, two actually. One is workforce development, and that is, as I've shared with other commissions, it does feel like there's an opportunity because we have so many employers who are looking for workers right now, desperately looking for workers, sort of in all categories. And so I think if we can better make connections, whether it's through organizations like Project Search that do this work as part of their mission, or other ways, but I think there's an opportunity for us to expand options. And the final thing, the toll of mental health has been impacting all communities, but once again, disproportionately our disability community. The social isolation that occurred through the pandemic and the challenges, especially with families, and just the need for more respite care. And frankly, our providers are exhausted. And so this is an area that clearly we need to enhance and focus on, which I think will be really important. So, but these are all comments, not questions. But thank you so much, Dr. Morgan. I was taking copious notes throughout your presentation and had my head nodding and agreed with everything that you all said. And then finally, to Ms. Woods-Miles, thank you so much for your testimony as well. Very powerful. Connecting a dot here, we know that there's been tremendous burnout in the early childhood and education space among our employers. And so that is another area that we need to think more holistically about how to invest in, because recruitment and retention was always a challenge, but now it's become even more of a challenge in this space as well. And so as our early childhood and education centers begin to reopen back from the pandemic, they're struggling to find workers, and that doesn't even include cultural competency, which is of course so important. So that's another area of focus that I think will be really important as well moving forward. And I agreed with all the points that you made, and we look forward to working with the ECCC as we continue the development of this legislation that was recently introduced, because we envision you all playing an important role in its development. And I can't thank you enough again for your dedication and leadership and that of your commission as well. So with that, Councilmember Rice, I think, did you have any questions or thoughts for this panel?
I did, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be brief as well because I know that we're at the end. Let me start off with the Commission on Disabilities, and Dr. Morgan, it's always great to see you. I apologize for my camera being off so you don't actually get an opportunity to see me, but did just want to thank you for all of your great feedback when it comes to what it is that we're talking about in considering when we're making these pedestrian enhancements, that we always have at the table our people with disabilities and representatives. We've long had many conversations about some of the transportation and pedestrian enhancements that we thought would be supportive, but that actually sometimes end up being hindrances. And I know all too well from my chief of staff, who we would go to Rockville Town Center from the council building and identify all the different things as he was navigating in a wheelchair, a motorized wheelchair, would identify and say, these are problems, these are problems. And so again, it's one of those where well-intentioned, but we need to make sure that we always have those considerations at place. But one of the things I did want to ask you is the same thing that I asked our Commission on Aging, and that does involve Design for Life. As we do have Thrive 2050 that's before us, I would like to have the Commission on Disabilities impact or input, I'm sorry, when it comes to what it is that you see as what we need to do and how we need to be responsible for ensuring that we have accessible housing for people with disabilities. So I'll pause for a second there if you have any initial thoughts. If not, it can be a homework assignment. So.
Well, yeah, thank you, Councilmember Rice. I think it's a very important point. In fact, I was involved with the Design for Life program at its onset. I was actually in the meetings to help design the entire thing. So it is definitely a very important issue. And it's actually one that I'm glad you asked the question, because we've heard from various people already today about the importance of affordable housing. And I don't mean to minimize that point, but it's no good if it's affordable but not accessible. It's got to be a combined issue that is addressed. Just because it's affordable, if you've got these construction designs that don't allow for people with disabilities, it doesn't help people in our community. And I think it's a very important point, and I'm happy to do whatever homework needs to be done and have more meetings to help design the process to make it more accessible across the board.
Well, thank you very much. And Ms. Yao, you've now heard from both our Commission on Aging and Commission for People with Disabilities. And so from that perspective, whatever we can do about incorporating some of the remarks, some of the concerns that have been raised here, and make sure that that's reflected, even if it's one sentence in Thrive 2050, I think it will be important for us to just make sure that we have that's there. I really just want to echo all the comments of my colleagues, both Councilmember Glass and excuse me, and Chair Albornoz. You guys are really spot on when it comes to, and this is why I love this so much, seriously, because we're really thinking about ways in which we can continue to be inclusive and supportive and make sure that we're just building on this opportunity. And so when it comes to ECCC, I just want to say thank you. You guys have been incredible partners with us when it came to really with MMF and everyone else and DHHS, all coming together to try and brainstorm around how we can continue to lift this up. And thank you for highlighting about Kerwin, because I think that's important as well for folks to remember that we do have the blueprint for Maryland education that was born out of the Kerwin Commission recommendations. And that is going to be upon us in terms of people starting to activate. And we're going to have to be prepared. We're going to have to make sure that our workforce, and thank you, I think it was you, Chair Albanos, who's talked about it being economic development. It truly is. It truly is economic development when it comes to what it is that we need to do. This is our workforce of tomorrow. These are our children of tomorrow. This is our future generation. And so we've got to get it right. And so from that perspective, this is just a really landmark time for us when it comes to really being able to build on some great initiatives that we already away from what DHHS has already done, but we can continue to build and make it even stronger. And I think this is an exciting time for us when it comes to that. And then lastly, one of the things that I did just want to highlight, Mr. Chair, for our veterans, and I know that I didn't get a chance to talk about this, but many of you know that my father served in the Marine Corps. And one of the things that for me is incredibly important when we look at our military service and some of the things that we need to do to ensure that our veterans are supported is to continue to evolve the programs that we know are important when it comes to Warrior Canine, when it comes to some of the mental health supports, when it comes to, again, as we're talking about economic development and talking about workforce, those folks who have served our country well can still enter into the workforce and, contribute in some of these ways. And so let's not forget about our veterans and the opportunities that they may have to continue to help us and address some of our workforce shortages. Many drove large military vehicles. And so from a CDL perspective, could certainly be our next bus drivers or ride-on bus drivers. Many have served in military police roles and can help to address some of the issues that we have around, we just heard from the chief of police about some of the concerns they have about folks leaving the police force. This is an untapped resource, I believe, for us, and one that can also incorporate with our younger kids and being positive mentors and role models for them as well, especially some of our at-risk youth, some of our at-promise kids who just need a mentor and someone to look up to give them some positive reinforcement. Those are all things that are still floating out there. And I think by utilizing and tapping into that great resource, we can continue to further some of the priorities that we have here in the county. And then just this is the last one, I promise, is about, we had talked about with, and I can't remember who said it, but we were talking about making sure that we have kind of those childcare providers that are out there. And I thought to myself, why doesn't Montgomery County have an app? And one of the things, we're about to open up our brand new coding hub here in Montgomery County that's focused on designing apps for a lot of societal issues that we can make better. And wouldn't it be great to have an app to where a parent could go on and say, I need these particular things. I need to make sure that they're language proficient in French or Amharic or whatever the case may be. And I need them to be in this area or that area. And this is what I want, and lay out what they want and then identify who those options are. I know that there are other things out there that have different kinds of providers as a list, but I'm saying something stood up by the county, I think would be phenomenal in terms of being a great resource to parents to be able to help them to identify some of the things out there. So just food for thought. I know it's not something that would happen tomorrow, but certainly something that I think we can reach and look forward to possibly making happen to make it even easier for our parents to figure out what the best resource for them is when it comes to early care and education, and also supporting those very businesses that are here in Montgomery County as well. So that's it for me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Rice. Appreciate those comments and thoughts and reflections. And I thank this panel, and we have been joined by Mr. Wayne Miller from our Veterans Affairs group. So thank you so much, Mr. Miller, for joining us. Why don't we hear your testimony now, and then we will ask questions. And we celebrated and acknowledged Veterans Day just a few days ago, and just want to thank you for your service to our country, sir, and that of all of the members of the commission. But I yield the floor to you to make your comments.
Thank you so very much. The Commission on Veterans Affairs thanks the county exec and the county council for its support we've been provided over the last 13 years for funding programs that benefit the quality of life for veterans and their families. We recognize that COVID public health emergency is placing difficult and unprecedented pressures on programs and services of the county as well as the rest of the country. Some of our veterans may experience mental health issues or thoughts of suicide, which could be the result of exposure to trauma. Among COVID survivors, about 1/3 of the individuals with protected diseases will go on to develop either a neurological impairment or a psychiatric condition, such as depression and anxiety disorder. Veterans already experience suicide rates 1.5 times the general population. The VA has made suicide prevention its top priority, as well as the county. We recommend that the county increases community outreach efforts to make resources and services better known to veterans and their families. The 1-800-273-8255 and then press 1. We recommend continuing funds program that provides mental health and wellness. The Commission is already involved in suicide prevention efforts. Commissioners Dr. Kaufman and Dr. Markry, they serve on the national, state, and local suicide prevention efforts. Myself, the chair of the commission, I'm also the director of the Department of Veterans Affairs Silver Spring Vet Center that provides mental health counseling and support to families at no cost to the veterans and their families. We also have Dr. Vanderbroek is the director of the Cohen Clinic at Easter Seals in Silver Spring that provides mental health services. Mike Subin has hosted the Montgomery County Cable program Homefront, and it addresses suicide prevention efforts and other topics. The Commission has posted on its website information on mental health and wellness at www.montgomerycountymaryland.gov/veterans. We've heard from the providers. They are receiving many calls for mental health and wellness services. We continue to be pleased with the county's efforts to end homelessness among veterans and to assist in obtaining permanent housing. The program has highly successful during the 016 campaign. Montgomery County has been the direct recipient of 98 HUD-VASH vouchers and an additional 25 posted HUD-VASH vouchers from DC and other states. We're in strong support of Bethesda Care's expansion of their outreach for veterans. We commend the county making a priority of the addition of permanent afforded housing for homeless population and working to achieve racial and social equity through sound housing policy. Also, Serving Together was created to coordinate the system and care of veterans. Service members and their families to the entire community can better identify those veterans and direct them to the support and needs that they may have. The organization is a recipient of funding from the county, and we recommend the funding continue. Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services provide funding for Serving Together programs through a behavioral health and crisis services. I'm sorry. And contractual services was originally funded FY11 by Community Grant Awards, and last year FY21 contract funding switched from Community Grant to DHHS and BHCS. Base budget of $150,000 was originally encumbered for FY22, and behavioral health is in the process of adding a 3% inflationary adjust of $4,500 per county resolution. This increase in funding will change the contract funding total to $150,000 to $154,500 for FY22. Also, we're very supportive of the Warrior Canine Connection, enlist wounded, ill, and injured warriors in a traumatic mission of learning to train service dogs for their fellow veterans. To train a service dog an otherwise isolated warrior must necessarily enter society, experiencing positive interactions with members of the community. The demand for trained service dogs has created wait lists years long. Many veterans report that after working and training service dogs, they are recovered to a point that they no longer need a service dog of their own. The novel approach and the one-of-a-kind therapy merits WCC for approval of $50,000 community grant and is included in the part of the capital budget within the costing sharing. We recommend that this funding continue. Also, Montgomery Parks, part of the Maryland National Capital Parks and Planning Commission, has completed the construction of the new floating launch for non-motorized boats, improving accessibility and safety for kayakers, canoeists, and paddleboarders at Seneca Landing State Special Park. The second phase of the project, which will include accessibility upgrades to improve safety, capacity, and enhance accessibility of the existing boat ramp for motorized boats, is still to be completed. We recommend, if any additional funds be required, that they be funded. Team River Runner facilities, 2 important treatment modalities, exercise and nature. Thank you, sir, and that is my report from the Commission on Veterans Affairs.
Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. I appreciate that testimony. We had an update from the Parks Department regarding the project you just referenced. I thought it was terrific, innovative, will really enhance quality of life and overall health and wellness. And I think hopefully triggers other similar efforts to enhance accessibility in a variety of different ways, which I think will make a big impact. So, and I appreciated all of your testimony, and thank you so much for your continued service. We look forward to following up on these issues. And as always, you've got a standing invitation. If it's helpful in any way for me to come out and speak to the commission or any one of us, we'd be happy to do so. But thank you so much, sir.
Please, thank you so much.
Councilmember Glass.
Yes, so Mr. Miller, thank you very much for your service and for your very thoughtful testimony. I think the timing of your testimony was actually perfect because you encapsulated almost every aspect of our 2 days of conversation, from homeless services to mental health support to transportation and parks, right? And really helping paint the picture of how interconnected all of government services are and how important they are to so many different people. And I just want to say thank you because we've all been doing work on various things. One of the things I love about the council, and particularly love about this committee, is it really is a team effort, and all of us pick up the ball wherever it might be and start running with it. And again, the totality of everything you talked about are things that have touched our legislative and activist portfolios. And so please continue to share with us as we return from return to a new normal, recognizing that there are lessons to be learned and we need to apply these things that we've adopted over the last 19 months and things that more importantly, things we've ignored over the last number of decades, that we apply them and that we make sure that our residents feel whole and healthy and safe. And so let's continue this dialogue, and please extend our gratitude and appreciation to members of the commission. And thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember Glass. So I believe that's it. So thank you all so much. Dr. Kroll, I saw that you had put yourself on camera, and if you would like to make any closing comments, we'd be honored and more than welcome to have you do so. You may have, I know there's a lot going on right now in a lot of different ways, so he may have had to have taken a call, but thank you all so much. This has been enlightening and helpful. We look forward to circling back with all of the respective, oh, there he is, Dr. Kroll, if you wanted to say some final words to help take us home.
Sorry, thank you all. It has been, again, both enlightening, and I purposely didn't want to ask questions because I know that there'll be some follow-up that I'll be able to do with boards and commissions as we go forward. But especially want to thank folks for their focus both on the safety issues of our population and our residents, and thanks to our Commission on Veterans for all of their work and support for our veterans in the county. So looking forward to doing the work in the coming budget cycle with you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kroll. So Ms. Yao, was there anything else?
No, we've gotten through all the speakers, so that should be it. We have a lot of follow-up items to this.
Yes, we look forward to all of them. Thank you all so much. This has been terrific. And as Dr. Kroll says, stay safe, everyone, and we will be in touch soon. Thank you all so much.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thanks, guys.